Hello and welcome to The Ravens, a One Tree Hill podcast. I'm Simon and I love One Tree Hill.
And I'm Dom and I've seen 175 episodes of One Tree Hill.
And tonight's episode for debate is no episode, as tonight we make One Tree Hill podcasting history and talk to the drama queens.
I'm Drew Barrymore and you're listening to The Ravens podcast with Simon and Dom.
Welcome to The Ravens, where it's always 10:30 at night, so it's time to grab the snacks from the sweet cupboard, move on upstairs and settle in, as tonight's episode for debate is no episode, as tonight we talk to the drama queens. Dom, we are here. How are you, my friend?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Very good. But Dom, we are not alone. We are going to the top of the One Tree Hill podcasting proverbial mountaintop. It honestly doesn't get any bigger than this. This is literal proof that if you put things out in the universe and by chance Sophia Bush might see it, then amazing things can happen. The adrenaline is coursing through my body because we don't have just one, not two, not seven, but three One Tree Hill cast members on tonight. Royalty is in the building. Let's start with activist, podcaster, recently interviewed Michelle Obama, icon status. Within One Tree Hill, she was class president, Close Over Bros founder and creator, amassed a personal fortune and lost it and reamassed it several times over, award-winning cheerleading choreographer, survivor of two stalkers, love triangles, determined, ever-evolving and self-actualizing, and above all, loyal friend and fan favorite, starring in 186 episodes of One Tree Hill as Brooke Penelope Davis. It is Sophia Bush. Thank you and welcome, Sophia, to the Ravens podcast.
Oh my God, Simon, please come everywhere with me. That was the best introduction I've ever had.
You're very welcome. But Dom,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't stop there. There's more. What if I told you we had New York Times bestselling author, singer and songwriter, and of course another One Tree Hill icon. Within One Tree Hill, she's been on rock tours, survived being run down by Dante, record producer, high school teacher, crisis hotline volunteer, loyal friend, one half of the sacred Naley relationship, starring in 184 episodes of One Tree Hill as Haley James Scott. It's Bethany, Joy, Lenz. Thank you for being here and welcome to the Ravens podcast.
Thank you. I'm obsessed with the way you're rolling in our real lives with the characters. It's just we just get credit for all of it.
It's
And I'm
so good.
I'm so happy.
You'd think
But that's not all.
You'd think that must be it. You would. You really would. You think you can't have any more icons on one singular podcast episode. It's not possible. Well, it's time to believe, my friends. We have actor and, of course, one more One Tree Hill icon, the Jerry Maguire of Tree Hill. He moves with fortitude, but only on the count of two. An odd duck who loves nothing more than sitting in his favorite chair, drinking beers from a cooler that is perfectly half ice and half water. A tad forgetful, you could say, but we'll leave that there as Dom hasn't gotten that far yet. Starring in 55 episodes as Clay Evans, it's the legend that is Robert Buckley. Rob, thank you and welcome to the Ravens.
Oh my goodness, your intros are second to none. Although it's pretty hard to follow the intros of Sophia and Joy. I didn't realize how wildly unaccomplished I felt until I had to follow their resumes. That was theirs were like 35 seconds and mine was actor who once ran an 8-minute mile. That was it. I got to do more with my life.
Do Rob first.
I think it's hard for anyone to follow, but you are icon status. We love you so much. Please know that. But we have a routine here, like a tradition of inducting new Ravens into our podcast by asking what, Dom?
We tend to ask for your favorite TV shows and also for a film that is considered, let's say, not so good. We'd say crap, like a crap, but a film that you love, like it's a go-to kind of movie. But yeah, 3 TV shows that are like top of your list, and then a film that you love to watch that is not so great. Other people, it's not as critically acclaimed, let's say.
Oh no, my brain goes blank with on the spot questions like
Okay,
that.
Wait,
I will say, go Soph.
I started thinking about the movies and then I panicked. And did you say a TV show also?
So
3.
let's do the movies first. Let's break it down.
Okay,
So we
Rob,
do the
you
movie.
go. Sorry.
Okay, I'm actually gonna go TV shows first, if you'll allow it.
Oh, okay. Of course, please.
These
Okay.
are TV shows we like, and then one movie that's crap.
Yes.
So like they're
Okay.
comfort shows, like a movie that you like Con Air, for example, is a movie I love, but critically it's not great. And then TV shows
It's a
that
good
like
one.
your comfort to put on, like
Okay.
Yeah. All right. My shows are Detroiters, Arrested Development, RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh,
Good choice. Great choice.
yes.
In my movie, it's not crap, although it didn't do well like when it came out, but I love it and it's a terrific film, is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Oh, yeah, so
Robert Downey
fun.
Jr., right?
Such a good movie.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Such a good movie.
Great choice.
Ooh.
should we go to you, Sophia? Joy?
Panic on my
God,
face.
I know. The TV shows that I routinely rewatch, comfort shows, are Frasier. I don't watch a lot of hour-longs for comfort shows. I'm more of a comedy in the background. So yeah, Frasier, Seinfeld, Friends, kind of the old usual suspects. It just feels like family in the back of the house talking. So I stick to what I know. Movie. I mean, if we're gonna stay in the Nicolas Cage arena, I could go Face Off.
Yes.
I could go also Val Kilmer and Elizabeth Shue in The Saint.
Oh, so good. So
good.
good.
That might be the one. And I haven't seen it in ages, but if it's on, I'm always like, oh, this movie.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh man, TV shows. Okay. Things I really do rewatch are Parks and Rec. Similarly, and it just hit me actually. I don't know why I've never thought of this before. The cadence of Sex and the City, it was such an important show at that stage in my life, and I think so many of my friends' lives. For us, it was sort of the One Tree Hill. And I realize now that one of the things I like to listen to if I turn it on in the background because I'm doing something at home is the observational writing. You know, Carrie Bradshaw narrates the show, and I'm like, wait a second, we had that.
Yeah.
We had, and I wonder if that's part of what subconsciously is still so comforting to me about it, because I'm usually listening to it in the background, not watching.
Yeah, the
So that's
narration.
that's sort of interesting that it ties into One Tree Hill. a little bit.
There really aren't a lot of shows that do that anymore. I'm trying to think
No.
of the last thing I've seen that has that, but nothing's coming to mind.
I don't know, and I love that as a device. And then, I mean, comfort shows. Yeah, to your point, I don't really do hour-long episodes in many rewatch or sort of comfort status. The other thing I love to do is just turn on a home show. I love a renovation project.
Yeah.
You know, that whether it's Nate and Jeremiah or In with the Old or like any great home show works for me. A movie that I don't really remember if it was critically acclaimed or not, but that I loved and that I think has achieved cult status very similarly to our show is Bring It On. Gabrielle
Oh,
Union
yeah.
is the homie. I have been friends with her since we were babies, and I just think she is the absolute best person. And I love that movie has become the most iconic sort of like camp cult classic. Honestly, a little in the Drag Race vein. Like it is camp in the cheer world, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I love it.
Have
I love it.
Have either of you
And fun
guys
fact,
spoken?
Bethany Joy Lenz was in Bring It On too.
That's true.
What?
Rob,
Oh,
did you
yeah.
not know that?
No.
You didn't know that? Oh my God, it's
Oh,
so
yeah.
major.
Oh my gosh.
I went to cheer camp and everything. It was so fun.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how this has come up, but I love everything about that. Before I forget, guys, have you ever watched Patriot?
Mel Gibson.
Oh, that's a great show.
Okay, do me a
incredible.
favor. I just feel like you would really dig it, and especially the way you just like burn through shows, Dom. I bet you could. It's so good. There's only 2 seasons. It's on, at least here in the States, it's on Amazon. And
Such a shame it didn't get picked up for a third season. It's just a travesty.
it must have
Loved
been
that
expensive
show.
or something. But they
Yeah.
wrapped it up beautifully. So go ahead, watch it, because it is an incredible blend of just great writing, great acting. It's funny, it's adventure, it's suspenseful. But that's one of my also, like, I don't really rewatch as much because, like Soph and Joy were saying, I'm kind of more of like, give me 22 minutes of lighthearted comedy. But it's such a great show, and it's a masterclass at every level. So watch it and then shoot me a message and let me know what you think of it.
And here's another fun fact for you, Rob. I did this wonderful little independent movie called Hard Luck Love Song with Michael Dorman, the star of Patriot. And the reason I, sight unseen, by the way, hadn't even read the script when I got the call, hey, they want you to come do this movie. And they told me who was in it. I was like, Patriot's the best show ever. I'm going.
Oh, he's great. And
He's
Sharon Lawrence,
fabulous.
to complete the
Yes.
One Tree Hill tie-in, is doing Joe Pickett with him right now. Yeah, so cool.
Guys,
Fun story. So
Full
sorry we've
circle.
derailed this whole thing, but I was doing a movie with Sharon Lawrence where she played my mom. We did 2 of these movies, and I was number 1 on the call sheet, and I never forget. It was like we're doing the second one, and we were having dinner right before we started shooting, and I was like, "So I see you're on this this new series, Joe Pickett. I love Michael. Is it Dorman? Dorman. I was like, I love Michael Dorman. And she looks at me without skipping a beat and she goes, Rob, he is the best number 1 I've ever worked with. Mind you, we were doing the second movie where I was number 1 on the call sheet. I remember just dying on the inside and being like, and that doesn't hurt my feelings. That's great. Yeah. Apparently he's wonderful.
That's so great.
Well, we're gonna throw some questions towards you, Joy, because we know we've got slightly bit less time with you. So Dom has a good one.
So my love of TV spans from all sorts as well. So like I love watching the US Office, and that's like a comfort one. I just like when I'm working, I leave it running and just let it play.
Yeah.
But my true calling is to sci-fi, which is, completely different from
Okay.
here. So I should really be doing a Star Trek podcast, huge Star Trek fan. And I do often find ways of pulling Star Trek into a conversation. If we're doing a movie podcast, I'll be like, oh, this person was in Star Trek. They're in this episode, and blah, 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 blah. And I'll explain the whole thing. I could do a bit, but I'm not going to do that now.
Okay.
But my question for you, Joy, is in your film A Biltmore Christmas, you were in it with Robert Picardo and Jonathan Frakes,
Yes.
who are just Star Trek royalty. So I'm just going to jump in with the Star Trek questions on this One Tree Hill podcast.
Okay. Go
And
for
just be
it.
like, what are they like? And please tell me about the experience, because you were a time traveler as well in that movie. So a bit
I
sci-fi.
was, yes. I also love science fiction. It's a total sort of guilty pleasure of mine. I used to watch Farscape all the time, if you remember that show. I loved that when I was I in my 20s in New York, or no, it was before then. Teen maybe? I don't know, but I loved that show. But yes, working with Jonathan Frakes was a great experience. He is such an encouraging person, so generous, such a wise soul that has a presence where he just, he's very amiable. He can just kind of shoot the breeze with anybody, but he's also very keenly aware of what's going on in his surroundings, and he's sensitive to the people around him. And it was really nice to just be in proximity with him and watching a legend conduct themselves on set. It was really, really meaningful. And he's also just so sincere. He's stayed in touch. It's not just like he's performing what he needs to perform while everybody's watching him. He really follows through and continues to send happy birthday messages and, hey, I saw this thing and congratulations, and just a genuinely encouraging, really wonderful person. I have nothing but great things to say about him.
That makes me love him even more. So
You should. You should.
And will we see you in Trek 1? I mean, if you're staying in touch, it wouldn't hurt to just be like, hey, there's new Trek
I would
coming out.
love to do Star Trek.
You
Oh, that
know.
would be so fun. Why not?
The next
So
captain,
cool.
of
Yeah.
Enterprise, surely.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with a lot of prosthetics though, because I just my time is I don't know that I have the time for that in my life right now, but I definitely would like to show up in some capacity. That would be
If it
fun.
could just be the little ear tips,
Yeah.
it'd be
Oh,
great.
that's fine. Yeah.
The
Although I'm
full,
sure
the full face is a no dog.
but they do so many of them. I bet they've got it down to a real science now. They can
Yeah.
probably do it so fast.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, thank you.
Joy, I'm going to throw
Yeah.
another one at you just to be sure that we get them in. But a couple times through the show, you display a wonderfully accurate impression of Joey from Dawson's Creek, which perhaps has some like meta undertones, as one could say that Haley kind of is a bit like the Joey of One
He's the
Tree
Joey
Hill.
Potter, totally.
Like, an easily lovable character, very confident without being arrogant, sort of best friend energy. Was the role of Haley ever presented to you as being in that way of kind of being like the Joey of the universe? Because One Tree Hill came pretty much directly after Dawson's Creek.
It did, and because we were taking over their stages and the city that they filmed in, it wasn't outright presented to me that way, but I think because of the impact Dawson's Creek made in the zeitgeist, that anytime someone said girl next door, you immediately, in my generation anyway, Joey Potter was one of the first people that comes to mind. So the girl next door phrase was what was put to me for Haley. And yeah, so I'm sure there was some kind of inference there.
That's great. Would Dom, do you want to go?
I'd love to ask about kind of Naylee in general, and I guess Nathan's kind of character arc. And do you believe that Haley changed him too quickly, perhaps, like into this bad boy stealing, school buses and whatever it might be, to I'm going to settle down and I'm going to do my homework, and kind of did
Rob's going, what? Rob, you really
No, he
have to
stole a
catch
bus.
up. Well, Dom, this actually seems like maybe a question for you guys. Do you think that Haley changed him too far? Are you saying that you think like it's unrealistic, that it may not have been possible? Or are you asking me if I think it was insincere or that it was bad for the storyline? Like narrow your question down for me.
more the storyline elements? So
Okay.
his character arc is like bad boy, hate Dan, but kind of similar to him in a way. And I thought, we're going to go down this trajectory. He might even end up shooting his brother at one point, but he then suddenly is like the most wholesome character, obviously thanks to Haley. But
I think this is one instance where the writers kind of shot themselves in the foot because we didn't know if the show was going to keep getting picked up. And so they wanted to start wrapping up storylines. And this is not the only storyline where you see this happening, but they were quickly advancing through storylines that really should have been drawn out. We had 22 episodes in a season. This is way before streaming, when everybody's doing 13 episodes and still somehow we have time to stretch everything out. So this was, I think you're right. I think you're tapped into something that it probably should have been drawn out a lot longer. And because they didn't, once they sort of wrapped it all up and it was like, okay, Nathan's reformed now, then they were like, oh, there's nothing interesting to do. What do we do? So they had to then take him into all these other storylines of he's reformed, but is he really? And did it really work? And so, I mean, I guess it still worked because that's probably realistic. If you have a mountaintop experience and then feel like you're going to change overnight, inevitably your humanity comes crashing back into you and you're like, oh, wait, I'm not capable of changing overnight. It actually takes time. So maybe that was realistic in a way as well. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it.
Well,
What do you guys think?
well, I think the most, I think a little bit like exactly what you're saying. It's like a little bit too early, or maybe we should have thrown some more challenges along the way, as we got to those kind of later seasons, like, even when, Jamie's around, and like make it just a little bit more adversarial, a bit more difficult. But the whole storyline of the didn't he cheat, and that kind of moment, I'm like, he didn't. There's no way. Surely he didn't. He wouldn't do that to Haley. Come on. Look how look at the relationship they've had to this point. And then there was a flicker of, did he? And I was like, oh no, maybe he did. But I was.
Isn't that interesting? Like someone can show you proof that they've made significant strides in their character development as a person, but there's still something in the back of your mind that's like the second they show something that even looks slightly familiar to what they used to do in the past, you immediately feel like, oh no, it's all for naught. It's not real. They're really just still the person that I knew them to be so long ago. Oh man, I felt that for Nathan so hard in that storyline.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's so hard to escape your past.
Well,
Well, and what I thought was really well written about that was also the doubt that Haley wanted to believe him, but she also knew who he used to be.
Right.
And you didn't have to belabor it. You didn't have to say, well, when you've been through a trauma, whether it's with the same person or a new person, if it's betrayal, for example, you're going to be really skittish around anything that feels like betrayal.
Yeah,
When
even
something
years
bumps
later.
up, exactly. Like when
Yeah.
something bumps up against that old bruise, it's going to hurt. And what was so fun as a viewer was getting to, especially for us because we made the show, but still you're watching going, wait, did he? Like, did I forget part of the storyline? What's
Yeah.
going to happen?
Like, I
So,
know him, right?
Yeah.
Don't I? Don't I?
but we had that same experience, Dom. We were like, wait a second. Did he do something with this woman? No, he couldn't have. And not being able to be sure is so fun, but it's also so human. And I think they did a really good job with that for you two in your character arc.
And also in Haley's defense, it wasn't just like there was a random accusation made and she just went into fear mode because of his past. She's actually very like cool as a cucumber with it initially, not phased, but it's then when Renee's like, check his phone records. Here's my phone number.
That's right.
And then she looks at the phone records and the number's in there. Like
that's
actually
right.
concrete evidence, and it does make it look like he's lying. So I think she had very good reason eventually to start doubting him.
Yep.
That's fair, Rob. Good memory.
Well, and it's nice that they grounded it in something real, like a phone bill, because we all felt the dread. And then when he got to say, did you bother looking that those were incoming calls? It's like, oh, right. Oh, and you see why they both feel what they feel, and you see why the evidence can go either way if it's only looked at in like a little fraction of the whole circumstance. And you're just like, oh, they really tugged at our heartstrings with that one. My God.
well, in a similar vein, Sophia, one for you. So like Nathan and
Wait, but sorry to interrupt you just for before you ask, Joy, how are we doing for you on time?
I'm okay right now. I still have
Okay.
another like 6 or 7, so I'm
Okay,
good.
great. give us a signal or
Thank you,
something so
yeah.
we can get you out of here correctly, and the fans won't be like, where did she go?
Yeah.
Sorry, Simon, go ahead. I just wanted to time check.
Yeah, of course. Well, one for you, Sophia, is that Nathan and Brooke seem to be on similar but different trajectories from the start of the show. Sort of starting in a similar place and showing the evolutions of their personalities, perseverance to better themselves, much like the opening theme song, of course. But Brooke, at times, seemed to get the much rawer end of the deal than Nathan did. Looking back now through the lens of podcasting the show in depth, is there a storyline for Brooke that you wish that they hadn't given to her? Like one that's like, that's too much now.
Ooh. I really liked her fallibility. There wasn't really, even in the beginning when I had such like small all girls school personal experience, or I guess lack thereof of experience, when I was like, what teenager would behave like this? And what are we modeling for young girls if we're doing this on camera? And, I was like in a little bit of a panic. I actually found ways to really enjoy the humanity and the ways that she didn't get it right. And I think, interestingly, as I had experiences in my own life that didn't go the way I would want them to, we all are this kind of amalgamation of success and failure and the best thing that's ever happened to you and the worst thing that's ever happened to you, I think her frankness about it modeled how to be frank about things, how to be vulnerable, how to choose to tell the truth and choose to welcome people in, even if you're embarrassed. So all of those things I really liked about her. And I feel like in certain ways we grew up together in a really interesting way. Like, I don't know, it was a really special journey. But I will say, as much as I loved, and I don't know if you guys know this, but this came from James. He pitched wanting Nathan and Brooke to relate to each other on some of their life challenge stuff, and how, you know, you always saw the girls together and you always saw the boys together, and you saw Haley and Lucas's friendship, but Brooke and Nathan never really had platonic opposite sex friends in their lives because they were like the bad kids. And he thought it would be really cool to highlight that these were two kids who got credit cards thrown at their problems, never parental advice, you know, all of this stuff, which I thought was so astute coming from a young actor. And I was bummed when we got that flashback scene because I thought they were already messing with Naley enough with the Rachel of it all. And I just was like, why do the writers always want to throw the girls under the bus? And why do they want to throw them under the bus in this way?
The flashback of Brooke and Nathan having been together, you mean?
Yeah, like the whole tape thing, because part of the reason I think, and look, I get that for the drama of the show, you want it to be so shocking, but the way the flashback opened was Nathan and Peyton being in this crazy fight, and then Brooke trying to cheer Peyton up, and Peyton saying like the meanest thing a girl can say to a best friend ever to Brooke. And then Brooke and Nathan like doing shots, basically being like, she's the meanest. And then it like cuts to the thing. Not that it changes how inappropriate it is, but the whole point was you saw why these two people made this really bad decision because they were really hurt by the person they loved the most. And then that whole thing went away. And I was like, why are we doing this? Like, why do we do this to the women? I don't understand. And I was like so bummed. And I remember Hillary and I being like, what the fuck? They took out our fight. And James being like, oh man, Nathan looks terrible. And I was like, you're not going to look terrible. Brooke's going to look terrible. Let it go. Like misogyny will be misogynistic. But like, that was kind of the one thing I thought, why do we have to massage? You know, it'll massage. I was just like, why do we have to like punch under to these two? But I will say in the grand scheme of it, I think the aftermath was kind of handled the best that it could have been for like a less than ideal writing situation. And I liked that Brooke and Haley got to be like, it's in the past. We don't really want to talk about it or think about it, and let's move on. And it didn't ruin their friendship, which I thought like, okay, at least we're going to model something good here.
Yeah. I'm glad they didn't make Haley end up being like, she had like a moment, but it wasn't like the insecurity overtook her life. It
was like a normal moment that we should have had together as friends. Yeah. But I did like that they didn't, I liked that they didn't turn it into a full like slut shaming parade.
Yeah.
Because it felt like it was on its way there. And I was like, man, I don't want to do this.
It's okay. We say this a lot. Like, we're very conscious that we're like two men watching this show, and we highlight the misogyny a lot, and a lot of the things that we say that wouldn't fly today, that wouldn't happen today. We like to think as much as we can that we're sort of in tune with those kind of things. But what an amazing thing to have these female characters that are so revered. And like, we've had people like Ravens, people, our friends that have come on the podcast and said, you know, I use these characters as inspiration for my life. Like we had like Crystal again, to mention Crystal again, say like use it like a guide almost. Like, oh, if I'm going through a breakup, I'll watch this and see how Haley dealt with this, how Brooke dealt with this.
No way.
And so I mean,
love that.
Yeah. So, but to throw one over to Rob, if I may, Rob,
to our gentlemen.
You came in late to a very much pre-established show where two of the leads have just left. There is naturally going to be comparisons drawn from the fandom between you and another absent dusty blonde male lead. Like, the hair comparisons alone could fill a Reddit forum. But you integrated flawlessly with a fully three-dimensional character that we all love. With that being said, did you feel like a sense of added pressure to shoulder the weight of a tone shift in an evolving, now refreshed version of the show?
Yeah. I mean, listen, the evolved answer is no, because there's nothing I can do. I'm different than him. I'm just going to do me. That's not where I was then. The way my mental math back then was 2 people have left, 2 people are joining. If this show does anything other than succeed at its current level, I am at least 50% to blame. So,
Wow.
so I came in, and this was the first time I'd ever come into a show that was this far along in its stride and this successful. And not to mention, like, once I started watching, because right when I got the job, I think I binged watched seasons 5 and 6 to sort of get quickly caught up, and just seeing how lovable and loved Lucas and Peyton were, it was like it only added to the pressure because I'm like, oh my God, I'm supposed to follow this act? Seriously?
Yeah.
But at a certain point, there is just nothing you can do about it. You know, so there was a certain relief in just going, I'm just going to do my best, you know, and it's going to be what it's going to be. But yes, was there pressure? Immensely.
We loved your character and love your character and love your like the
Thank you.
humor that feels very natural to you in real life in your character is so warm and funny and different and very different to Lucas as well, like completely different characters. And so yeah, you did a tremendous job. I mean, you don't need us to tell you that, but yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Listen, it's lovely to hear. And I will say the one thing I was mindful of was that I was never trying to do Lucas.
Yeah.
I sort of, and luckily the writers did me a service in that they weren't trying to create a Lucas 2.0. Luckily they were like, this guy's going to have his own lane. And I very much mindfully stayed in that lane so as to sort of like let fans know like, hey, I know you lost a guy you love. I'm not here to replace. I was like the very like kitty glove step parent where I'm like, hey, not replacing your dad. I'm just gonna be around and I'm here if you need me.
Bonus funsies.
Yeah,
Let's
totally.
go.
I'm your bonus grown up. That's all.
They're not saying like, hey, deliver these lines and just kind of squint into the distance if you would. Like,
Yeah.
just
Can we try it again, but just be more ruggedly handsome? Thanks.
You know what I thought was really
friends,
interesting?
I'm sorry. I have to go. I have to catch a plane. It's been so awesome talking with you guys. And I'm so grateful that we got to bring you on Drama Queens as well. And I hope we get to see you all soon.
Paris.
Yeah, Paris.
Hey.
And I hope we get to come back and chat with you guys again sometime. Thank you so much.
I know it's our honor.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure, and it means the absolute world to us. So thank you so much.
Guys. All right. Well, you still got Sophie and Rob, so have fun, y'all. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll talk to
we'll
you
finish
later.
up. You
Safe
fly
travels,
safe.
Joy.
Okay, bye, guys.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
Oh
You
my
know
God, I
something that
thought
I-
she would never leave.
You know, something that I thought was such an astute observation that Hillary made when we were wrapping up season 6 with her. And I'm really curious if it tracks for you, Simon and Dom. She said one of the genius things that the writers did when they cast Rob and Chantel was, yes, they were bringing in a couple to replace Peyton and Lucas, big pressure, but that they essentially brought Chantel in to be the female Lucas. And Rob sort of came in to be the male Peyton. Like, you and she have very similar senses of humor. Chantel's character came in with immense emotional sensitivity as an artist. Granted, not a writer, but a photographer who was capturing a lot of our moments for the audience and giving that sort of new version of a narration, if you will. And does that at all like illuminate anything for you guys as you're watching the show? Does that feel true? Because I remember we all were like, oh, genius. But I wonder if for the audience it feels that way.
I just wish we could go back and say that ourselves. That is like honestly, that, like never really like kind of entered well, never entered my mind like that would be the opposites, and the way to build those characters in is actually let's turn Clay into more like the Peyton character, and you know that's absolutely blown my mind.
Right? It's like even you starting, you know, building out this sports agency, like Fortitude is Clay's
Red
project. It's Red Bedroom. Like it's, you know, it's like crazy when you really start to think about it. And it had never hit me before, but as soon as she said it, I knew it felt right. And then I was like, wait a second, what are all the subconscious ways I've identified this without knowing? And oh, maybe this is why you immediately felt like a comfort character to me. And like, I don't know, it's really fun to noodle on.
I also wouldn't beat yourself up, Dom, because I literally played the character and had never had the idea until Hillary said it out loud. And I was like, holy shit, that's incredible. Wow.
That's amazing.
It's kind of cool.
That's very cool. Very cool. Just to kind
Sorry,
of
I know it's your podcast and now we're asking you questions, so you go right ahead.
The more the better. Just to kind of track back to Simon's question before about Brooke and Nathan's kind of similar arcs in the show. Like Brooke is such a strong character, like all from kind of beginning to where we're at, because I haven't seen the end yet. But we go from like party girl to powerful businesswoman, and then to mother. Is there a moment in the show where you sort of felt especially connected to her growth, like kind of personally, along the way?
You know, I think there were so many moments for me, and I remember, it being a friendly critique, if you will. But I remember, constantly going to the writers and saying, but what about this? And how are we going to talk about this? And yes, it's okay for these women to fail. And yes, of course, kids are experimenting. And yes, but if every time anyone's having sex or getting drunk or whatever, the negative outcome only happens to the girl, it doesn't feel right. So how are we going to talk about these subjects? And what are we going to do about this? And what, and I think, I know after a while they were like, God, you're not going to shut up about it. So we'll just let you do it on the show. And the thing I sort of cherish is caring enough, even as a young actor, about how things would land with our viewers. In a really weird way, I think that was a very early step in advocacy for me. And so as I see things that, again, felt really true for me, like I wanted to organize people and make sure they were taken care of. And then I got to do the Carl's Crab Shack episode and like fight for the union protections, which I'm still doing out in the world. Like there were always these moments where something that was really important to me would coincide with something on the show, even if it was, something terrible that a friend was processing. If we were all talking about what was happening in our lives, the writers would sometimes, for better or worse, use that stuff as material. And so we got to elevate success and learning lessons and standing up for each other. And sometimes, open conversations about pain or hardship. And to your point about your friend Crystal and so many of the wonderful fans we've met who've shared their stories with us, we got to sort of learn on camera and help other people learn too. And so, I don't know, I think in every stage, I really enjoyed her. And I think also they say hindsight's 20/20 for a reason, right? Like it's so easy to look back with all the nostalgia and all the rose-colored glasses on the best parts of it. And yeah, I loved Brooke building a company as a success, building a company as a successful young woman. I loved her losing a company and doing it with integrity. I loved her figuring out how to be a friend and probably eventually taking those lessons into being a parent. Like all of it felt right. And I liked that we had the opportunity on our show, even though we only had Rob for the last 3 seasons, like we all had opportunities to do these great big stories and these great big lives. And it was nice to not just be one thing. I think for any of us, I mean, I feel like you got to do a lot as Clay, even in 3 seasons. You had a big
yeah. I mean,
story. Yeah.
Dom's only 2/3 of the way through, and we still got some hairpin
buddy.
turns coming up for you, buddy. Yeah, I was really just thinking, because as I was listening to you, I found myself, I really bumped on you saying she lost her company with integrity, because I felt myself get defensive, because I was like, she didn't lose shit. The people behind the scenes freaking dropped the ball, and she still could have held on to it, but she had integrity. So I get there's nothing wrong with what you said, but I just felt myself as a fan of Brooke to be like, fuck that. That's not what happened.
Thanks, buddy.
Everyone else sunk the battleship, and she was just the last one. You know what I mean? Like, Integrity. I say this all the time about Brooke. I'm like, so much integrity there. But yeah, that was just funny. I felt myself get really emotionally charged up to be like, that's not what happened. It wasn't her fault.
Yeah, and you know what I like about that, and that might be the greatest lesson for me. I can get like I get that justice thorn in my side. The truth matters to me so much, and if it isn't being told, or people are, being nuts with it, or I don't know, talking about alternative facts, like I want to lose my mind. And I can get really hung up on it. Like I can get caught up in that loop of like, but this matters and the truth matters and this should be out there and people should know this. And what about, and I think Brooke Davis taught me to be like, for what? Sure, like go out, fight for people, do the thing. But if it's like just about you, for what? Is it really worth anyone's time? Like, make sure you know what you value, who you value, what is real, and make sure you're really proud of yourself when you look in the mirror at night and let the rest of it go. And, even the losing the company storyline really was about that. She could have gone out and said, well, the person that did it was, and actually what happened was, and she just was like, I'm going to make it right as I can, and I'm going to move on. And I don't think I've reflected on it in this way until this conversation, but I do think that's one of those cool ways that we sort of grew up together, and she taught me some things for sure.
What great answers. Great answers. As time is kind of limited, we've got one more question. But before we do that, I'd just like to say, well, firstly, this has just been beyond. This is literally, honestly, I can't even fathom that this happened. So we're so grateful, so grateful. One just suggestion is that we had the set decorator Matt Sullivan on our podcast, who did all of the sets and everything, and he was so kind to us in Wilmington. He took us to the sound stages, and just such a great guy. He would be someone that would be awesome on your podcast, as well as John Nordstrom we had, who was the composer of One Tree Hill, just if you're ever looking for suggestions. And then
thanks guys.
We have one more question now. This has been a dream that's been manifested and become real. And so we're going to try our luck with this one. So this question has 5 if statements in it. So the 5 ifs have to be right to get to the ending. So we're going to try. So
okay,
if one day there is a One Tree Hill reboot in some form being made, and if Dom and I were to fly ourselves out to wherever the filming was taking place, and if you had the need for 2 guys in the background to be stacking shelves as background performers, if you needed 2 FedEx guys to deliver a package, please sign here, Miss Davis. Scene. And if all of the before ifs were actualized, what we're asking here is, could we do the unthinkable and somehow be in the background of an actual One Tree Hill episode?
I think that's a golden idea. I think you've really hit a nail on the head, that it's not even like lined up on the wall yet, but it feels as though it must happen. Okay.
Well, I think if we've learned anything from this very moment itself happening, it's that all you really need to do is put your wish out into the universe, and hopefully it catches Sophia Bush's eye, and you've already done that. So the way I see it, it's kind of a foregone conclusion that this is going to happen at some point.
Well, as much as we're joking, if it does happen, we'd be on the plane so quickly. But we just have to say thank you. Just thank you. Thank you so much for this. This has just been beyond. And we're such fans of you as from the show, but also just as people. And so we're just so grateful for the opportunity.
You've been incredibly gracious with your time and letting us not only joining us on our podcast, but letting us come on your podcast as well, which means so much to us. And when we first started this, even up until probably last week, we couldn't have even imagined that this would have actually happened. Even today we were worried that, what if something goes wrong, or this happens or that happens. So, but it was just like, keep the positive thoughts going. But we thank you so much for all that you do, and for what you're putting out there to the One Tree Hill fandom as well, and for all the good work that you do, and the good things you put out into the world as well, because it means a lot, and so many people pay attention, and you have a following, and you all do the right things with it, and it's great to see. And we're so appreciative of your time, especially. And yeah, just thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and listen, the pleasure has been ours, and I'll speak for myself. I'm a fan of you guys as podcasters and as human beings, so this has been a treat. Thank you for joining us and inviting us on onto your show.
Absolutely, I'll echo Rob. And I know Joy had to jump early, but this is so much fun for us, and it really is thanks to people like you. Like, fans who've stuck with this show are the only reason we got to come back to our show. And Rob mentioned earlier, we've all worked on plenty of other jobs, and it's glorious, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of like summer camp. You go and you do the thing and it's really great, and then everybody's got to go home and go on to the next thing, and it's just not possible to maintain the same level of relationship forever. And yet this world was kept spinning by the folks who watched the show, and we got to come back into it, and now we're all in this really cool flywheel together, and it's just really special. And so, thanks for injecting like newness and excitement into our world and letting us come and play in yours. It's very, very special for us.
I mean, the show literally, it has such an impact on my life. I mean, I can't believe we're having this conversation. So yeah, thank you so much. And if you're ever short for people, we have a mountain of questions.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Honestly, we should talk about that.
Okay. Well, yeah. If you ever need anything, we're here. And, just thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
All right.
Got
Thank
it.
you
Thanks for
guys
having us,
so
guys.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.